I got to make this one quick, Just. Laptop pickups are today in like half hour.
Oh, yeah. I have the same concern because I'm using my laptop, but Hargo needs it. She has class in 30 minutes, and we never did the laptop device pickup. So,
Oh, that's right. You guys already started. How's it going?
oh man. So the first day was terrible. The servers were completely down for all of our entire district. Kids couldn't log in. And it made me really realize like a couple things. One, that kids that are rule followers and scared of getting in trouble, like virtual learning is not made for them, because my two older ones were like, oh man, I can't believe this happened. Okay, I'm going to go eat breakfast. But my little one was so worried. She was like, I'm going to get marked absent. I need to keep trying. And I tried to keep explaining to her like the servers are down for everyone.
Yeah. She's not going to fall behind.
And I felt bad. The school district gave an update at like 7:45, like, oh, we're aware that the servers are down right now. They didn't give another update until 10. And it's like, people keep on trying, right? Why not just say like, hey, we'll let you know when it's back up and running again?
Yeah, you're going to waste all your time trying instead of working. Like, at least if you know it's done for the day, it's done for the day. That's annoying.
Yeah. And their IT department, like I felt bad for them because a lot of, Budum said it, all the haters are out on Twitter now because they were like, how did you not prepare for this? And I was like, come on, their IT department's probably like a handful of people and they've never had to deal with this kind of influx of traffic.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the information should just be conveyed. But as far as it happening, I think that we should all expect it to happen. Like we are. I'm expecting week 1 to be just all of this and more,
Yeah.
So, yeah, just to set the expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be shocked it happened. Like you can't be like, oh my God, the server's down.
No. And I think it's a time to be compassionate. Like what teacher out there also understands technology and can like help you navigate what's wrong with Zoom?
Yeah, I want to do a story. I actually have to do all my pitches. I'm sending them tomorrow. But I want to I'm doing a whole series. Hopefully I'm doing a whole series on this. And one of mine, I want to do like teacher's perspective, like from the teacher's angle, spend the day with her at her house while she's trying to teach online and juggle her kids. So
yeah, there was a great New York Times article earlier last week that said 80% of parents that are both working from home also have to take care of their children being like in a virtual environment. And so we're not adjusting the way that we work. We're not adjusting the way that we teach. We're just like, hey, we're just going to do all of it in this modified format, which bothers me. And then this idea that like I didn't get a device for my child who doesn't have one. And the reason that we didn't get it is because Budum was saying, well, we can afford to buy another device. So let's leave those free devices for the kids that need them. But, this is like a greater problem, right? Like, should the system account for that or should we all pitch in?
I feel guilty now because, he makes a good point. And I'm all like, hey, we're getting a free laptop. I mean, Ali's school is really rich, but I guess I can't say what happens to those laptops that aren't picked up and where they go because other schools within the county aren't, So I can't, I guess I never thought about that as I'm going to go pick up her laptop.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know the right answer either because I think it's important to expect individuals to help fill needs. But I also think it's important for institutions to plan for the needs properly and not, so we shouldn't even have that conversation. It should be like, hey, virtual learning, we planned for this, we got funding for it, and every child will get a laptop. Now, if someone refuses and says, I have my own laptop, okay, that's a different conversation. But to even have that conversation. Anyway, we didn't opt to get the laptop. We also didn't get our own laptop. So now we're sharing a laptop. I have a work laptop, so it's fine. But
and you have to go in 23 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. As a result, these are the other like stresses, and the kids' virtual schooling, we'll have to talk about it once you start as well, because then we can really compare stories.
Definitely. We can compare notes. Yeah, definitely. I'm still not sure how a first grader is going to do it, especially my very can't focus at all first grader. And the first thing people say, no first graders can. My kid, compared to other kids, has less focus. She does. It just is more.
Yeah.
It's really hard to hold her attention. So I'm not really sure how it's going to work with work, So all of us.
Right. Let's definitely talk about it after. I don't want to get too much into it now because I actually have a list of things that would be good for us to talk about in a podcast.
Can I just say one irony, though?
Mm-hmm.
When I say with work, my job literally is to leave my daughter and go to other people's houses so I can record their day doing the same thing. So it's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave her alone to do my
the
job.
Irony of that.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a pretty funny story about normalizing periods, which was the topic of our last podcast, and we wanted to talk a little bit more about it today.
Yeah.
So talk about like a forcing function or forcing event. We were pet sitting our friends' dogs, and we had gone out for a couple of hours. When I came back, one of the dogs, or maybe both of them, I don't know who was guilty. We didn't have like a camera or something set up, had gone through the trash can in my bathroom and pulled everything out of the trash and like just kind of dumped it onto the floor. And because I was on my period, there was also like a maxi pad that had gotten ripped up.
That's why the dog went there too.
Maybe like maybe the smell or something. And so I came home and we saw the first indication was a toilet paper roll that Hudgun had put on the couch, and she was like, oh, I'm going to take this up later. I need toilet paper up in my bathroom. And she didn't. Kids do that all the time. And our dog is like very mild-mannered, so that's never been a problem. But I guess the dogs were like, oh, what is this? Something to chew on. So they ripped through the toilet paper, which earlier in the pandemic, I would have put them out of the house for that type of work. But
oh my God.
Remember how sacred toilet paper was?
And my knee jerk is to say I would have been mortified, right? Because of the stigma.
Yes, absolutely. So two rolls of toilet paper. But then when I went into my bathroom and I saw that they had gone into the trash can too, like pulled the bag out and then pulled everything out of the trash can, and I saw the ripped up maxi pad. At first I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I'm so embarrassed. And then I went into the kitchen to go get a broom. And in the meantime, the entire family was like, oh my gosh. And they were like, what is that? Why is it red? Why does it look like blood on the floor?
Oh my God.
So, okay, imagine all of the societal stigmas that we've been raised with as Americans, as South Asians. We've got the Punjabi culture of like, don't tell anyone even when you're on your period or that you started your period as a kid.
Yeah.
All of that culminating together in that moment. And my brother-in-law was also over. And I was like, this is too much. I'm laughing about it now, but I was...
What was his reaction? Was he just trying to... What? I want to know how... Yeah, what was his reaction?
He actually didn't say anything. I very quickly started to clean it up. I think either he didn't notice or he's kind enough that he didn't want to make the situation awkward if he did notice it.
Right.
So
yeah, I would ignore it on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, he like maybe purposefully ignored it or whatever. So
depending on how close I am to the person, right? It depends on closeness too.
Yeah.
Like in the sense of like, if it's you, no, I'd be like saying stuff.
Of course.
Like if it was me, I'd say stuff to you. But if it was me with someone I barely know or someone that,
right.
then I wouldn't. Just depends on who it is.
Yeah. And I think like with your brother-in-laws, there is this like expectation that you're going to treat them with the respect of an elder and maybe not dive into those. I'm really close with him. This is Budham's brother-in-law. But on the same token, I wasn't ready to go there. I did address it with my kids and I was like, okay, this is because there was a maxi pad in the trash can and he must have gotten it. And I kind of tried to make a joke out of it. And I was like, this is probably why office buildings have trash cans with lids on them in case a dog gets in there.
Yeah, you're doing what I would do. Just make a joke. Yeah, make a joke to make it less awkward. But in the end, it's still a stigma, right? Still,
it is. It is. And I tried to address it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to get a broom and clean everything up and throw everything away. And then I told the kids, I was like, hey, it happens. The dog just had the dog instinct, and there's nothing wrong with it. And then I also, after I cleaned it up, I steam cleaned my floor. So if anybody's like, hey, Juspreet's bathroom is like really dirty, don't worry. It's super clean now.
You're better than the rest of us, okay? I would have just fantastic that, and that's about it.
I did both. I put 409 on it, and then I also steam cleaned it. I was like, heat, chemicals, we got it covered. But it's a great reminder, and I only noticed it because we had just talked about it in our podcast.
Yeah, it's also a reminder of what a germaphobe you are. But yes, it is a reminder.
It's both. And it's another step in normalizing the conversation too.
It is. And it's a step that I guess you took with your own family, but it was hard with your brother-in-law, right? Is that what we get out of this?
Well,
does he listen to this podcast?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it wasn't hard with him. I just noticed it's not like he was awkward or I was awkward. I just noticed the subtleties of how we all kind of respond in different ways of how we think we're expected to behave.
Right. Well, also, there is one more layer to this. I mean, yes, it's one thing like talking about it, the stigma. In this case, there's also hygiene. So I can understand it getting a little more awkward and not being too like hard on the whole, like, oh my God, why can't we talk about it? Do you know what I mean? This is like another layer a little bit.
Yeah.
So
I didn't walk away with it as a negative.
So I kind of have a funny story about this. I don't know about stigma or what, but I guess it's kind of like something awkward happened and a joke got me out of it a little bit. It's not that awkward. So Allie, I feel like I've told this story before. I'm not sure. Allie had a play date with her best friend. This is like, I don't know, about a year ago. And the two of them came upstairs to my bathroom because her best friend will just go anywhere. And since then, I've like monkey locked everything because I don't trust her.
Yeah.
But we were downstairs, just the parents were just downstairs, kids were playing upstairs. And then all of a sudden, it's pretty late, so everyone's tired, everyone's been drinking a little. They come down, they're like, hey, first aid, we got hurt. Do you need Band-Aids? I'm like, Band-Aids? What are you talking about? And they came down, and it was the, what is the other thing called? There's a pad, regular pad, and then there's the panty liners, right? Mm-hmm. But I use it for like light days, right? Yeah. So they took all my panty liners from my cabinet and brought it down. They're like, look, Band-Aids, Band-Aids. And everyone just started laughing. And I was like, oh, my God.
Oh, they were like, this is an oversized Band-Aid. That's sticky on the wrong side.
Yes. Real. And I can understand them doing that, too. But we just laughed so hard.
Right.
Oh, my God. I actually was embarrassed, but I just had to get out of it by laughing. Because, like, everyone's there. The dad's there. Samir's whatever, mom. Everyone's there, So I like kind of brush it out. Like, well, at least you guys know I haven't hit menopause yet. That was my big line.
That's so funny.
Right.
I think there's also some goodness in that story because the humor does help us soften and move into the topic, right? We're using it a little bit as a crutch, but it's a good thing. We all need that. If you were to sit down and say like, hey, Allie, maxi pads are very expensive, like the conversation would get really awkward. But the fact that you kind of made light of it and it became okay, it's almost like you have that acknowledgement because in many cultures and in many families, you don't even acknowledge
That's true. We normalize it for the kids that moment who are growing up. We normalize it for them at that moment.
And later in life, Allie or her friend will be able to ask their partner to go buy maxi pads for them, which I have friends that can't ask their husband of many years that they've had children with to do that.
Wow. That's crazy. Really?
Yes.
Not even the husband?
Yes. And when I've for friends that I'm pretty close with and I've gently pushed them a little bit on it, they're like, oh, well, he won't understand the different sizes and the wings and, the design and all these other things. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure whoever the husband is, whatever their interests are, like I'm sure there's some hobby that is pretty complicated, whether it's fishing or NBA or fantasy football, they can figure out these things.
Is it because it's awkward between them or it's because the husband has said it's awkward for me to buy?
I didn't ask, so I don't know. But I have to believe that it's got to be also awkward for the wife, right? To even bring it up and try to explain it. But, it ties back to the normalization again. So for the female or the male, and this would apply for even female-female relationships, right? Being able to talk about it inevitably has to tie back to your own comfort level. And that's one of the things that I've really tried to embody in my parenting, or I should say our parenting, of talking about body changes, including sex ed, including drug use and other things as well. The best advice I got, and this was back in 2011, one of my really good and smart mom friends said, start talking about sex education when your child goes to kindergarten. And of course, I was shocked hearing that, right? But she walked me through it. And she was like, they're going to be on a bus. They're going to be walking to school. They're going to be with children much, much older than them. And they're around cousins, friends, and family. And they shouldn't have this mystified idea of their body and what happens and how you grow. And that essentially challenges everything that I was taught growing up in terms of like when's the right time, how you talk about it, like how forthright you are.
Did she go into how to talk about it when you're in kindergarten? Like what would be some of the initial things to start to have that conversation?
So I didn't do it right at the beginning of kindergarten. I waited until the spring of kindergarten, but I started with just talking about her body and her. Obviously, you've already had the talk about different parts of your body and like wiping when you go to the bathroom and the idea of like parts that are private only for yourself or mommy and daddy and a doctor, right? You have those conversations.
Yeah.
But branching out and talking more about how your bodies change and like how bodies come in different sizes and then things that can be done with your body privately, publicly, and how that changes over your lifetime. So I didn't talk specifically about sex, but I did talk about how babies were made and focusing more on an egg and a sperm, like they combine together, and talking about DNA. Now, I didn't use the words DNA, I don't think. Maybe I did. I can be geeky sometimes, but more about characteristics and qualities of two parents combining in a child. So this idea of like a mixing, right? And I think it helps to form that foundation of what's going to come later in your subsequent talks.
Wow. I've got to say, and I think I'm pretty progressive, I've not talked about that kind of specifics. And my kids past kindergarten. I haven't. I mean, I talked to her a lot about her body and, you know, the different parts and what they mean and blah, blah. And I'm really big on her experimenting if she wants, like alone in the shower. But I've actually never specifically talked about sperm, egg, and I just like, you are mommy and daddy's child, you know, and that's the most I've done. So that's really solid advice. Yeah.
No, and that makes sense. And Allie is the age that Bhavneet was when I had this conversation, because spring of kindergarten and fall of first grade is exactly the same.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. I'm definitely going to think about that.
And one thing, like, let me just say one thing, because these aren't like 4-hour long seminars I'm having with my children. These are like finding little pockets of time when we're both in the right mood and the right mindset to share information and ask inquisitive questions. You got to recognize that.
Yeah, I understand. Something has happened. Right. You didn't force feed it.
Of course not. Yeah. And then the second thing is that, and this is like something for you and for our listeners to think about. Like, honestly, when it comes to sex and producing a child, children aren't really interested in the sexual part. They're interested in the science functioning part. So when you talk about a sperm and an egg, it actually sparks their curiosity in terms of like, from a science perspective, what's happening. DNA, you know, like one parent has blue eyes and one has brown eyes.
Yeah, why we look like our parents, right.
What color eyes will they get? It's more interest in that. What color hair will their hair be curly? Will they be short or tall? It's more about framing it around that as opposed to just the physical act, which I don't think I can even explain even today as an adult with teenagers.
I'm going against advice and going to force feed. I'm picking Allie up today. Hey, Allie, how's your day? Now let's talk about sex.
Okay, I don't advise that.
I told her the word vagina when she was like 2 years old. I mean, she used to go, agina. That's my agina. So
yeah, that's a body part. I think that's a good thing to
I understand. It's not the same as sex ed, but I'm saying to start with, like I've always, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm a little surprised that I haven't done this because I haven't thought to do it.
So one of the things is that there's great resources online. I know there's YouTube channels. YouTube really wasn't big when my kids were younger. And so I didn't leverage that. But I did use a lot of books. And as they got older, I actually got books for them. I'm a huge library advocate. I usually didn't buy many of these books, but I would get them from the library. I would give it to the child, and then I would say, hey, let's read a page. Do you have questions? And children are naturally shy about this because it doesn't matter how forthright I am or my husband is. It doesn't matter how direct you are or your husband is. There's society influences that we all get. It's like the conditioning is within us. And they are taught these what to hide and what to share signals from everyone, from media, you know, from everyone around us. But this kind of helps to introduce the conversation. So I wanted to share a couple of the titles of books that I really like. And I'll include it in the show notes too. There's a great book called The Care and Keeping of You. This is an awesome book. It talks all about puberty and changes. It touches on menstruation, and it touches on how you care for yourself, like how when showers are really important and how to keep clean.
Oh, cool. What age group?
Like I would say early, like I used it in the tweens age, which I think is like between 9 and 12. Mm-hmm. And then there's a great book for younger kids called The Girl's Body Book and The Boy's Body Book. Another one I really like is What's Happening to My Body. And then to expand beyond just the menstruation and puberty changes, 2 fantastic books that you could read with Allie now. One's called What Makes a Baby? And the other one is It's Not the Stork.
Oh, wow, cool.
And It's Not the Stork is so cute because it actually directly challenges this idea that's in a lot of storybooks that the stork brings you a baby. And like, for us being Punjabi, we don't have the stork. We talked about it last time. We have like God brings you a baby.
Yeah, we've never done stork, right.
Puts it at the doorstep or however it happens. But same concept, right?
Allie's hasn't asked yet where do babies come from. So yeah, I haven't had to answer that. But this has been so productive for me, honestly, because I'm going to check out these books for Allie, the ones that are appropriate, for her age.
Yeah, order all of them from your local library, read through them first. And then I think like the one, What Makes a Baby, it's very pictorial. The pictures are awesome. And it shows like an egg and a sperm. And I think it even uses that concept of, if I remember correctly, it's like children have a library that they get from their parents. And it's like a library of instructions for like how to build a body, whether they should have red hair or yellow hair. And, it's beautiful because you can go in different ways. Like all babies are born with an egg and a sperm, even if the baby's adopted, or even if the child is IVF. We had that awesome story in a previous podcast about IVF and infertility, but the baby's still born the same way. And it's decoupled from the concept of sex. Just like adoption, it's not dependent on sex. Not between the parents that raised the child anyway.
Yeah, no, I definitely look forward to getting these books. I want to see them and read them to Allie.
Okay, well, we'll share them with our listeners and I'll send them to you. And then I would love to, let's do a follow-up discussion. Like once you read through them, what did you do? Because obviously everything's different for each child and each parent and where you are in life. And what the stress level is because of distance learning or COVID.
Yeah, and maybe we can talk about also like masturbation because that's been something that I've definitely been good about with Allie. I'm all like thinking like I'm getting tested and I failed today, but that's one thing I've been doing.
Your life is not a test.
The importance of pleasing yourself and it's and not making it like a shameful thing.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that. That's one that has so many stigmas, just like the period, right?
I think that's very much connected to your self-esteem. I believe that 100%. So yeah, we could definitely have a third part. I'm definitely going to check out these books. And when I say check out, I mean check out from the library.
Yay! The girl just gets me in my love for libraries. Thank you, Lisa. All right, this has been awesome. I know I have to go because 6th period is about to start and we are sharing a laptop. So to our listeners, we love the feedback on our first podcast, Normalizing Our Bodies. Please continue to share your feedback with us. Tell us your stories. How do you talk about this? Have you talked about this with your child? Or if you're like Lisa, what will you do differently now? We love to hear your feedback. We love your support. And as always, thanks for listening.